Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video for you guys, Week 16 defenses to add for fantasy football in 2020. Inside this video, we are going to be going over my top defenses to add for Week 16. Week 16 could be your championship week, so make sure you guys buckle in here into this video to win that league. If you're Week 17 championship player, make sure you subscribe as well, because unlike a lot of YouTube channels who kind of just go to sleep, they take a nice nap in Week 17. I know that some people play there. Now, I do recommend that if you are a Week 17 championship player, to make sure you contact your commissioner and tell them next year, hey, we need to do Week 17 or Week 16 because Week 17 makes no sense for fantasy football, but I do have videos for that. So make sure if you are new to make sure you hit that subscribe button, and if you're not new, you watch every single day, you watch every couple of videos, you've seen a couple of videos, please make sure you hit that like button as well. I would really appreciate it. So real quick, before we get deep into these defenses to add, I'd like to give you guys a quick word from my friends and my sponsor over at OverlayDFS.com. OverlayDFS.com is the best place to play daily fantasy sports on the whole World Wide Web. Now, there's two options on their website. You got the progressive tournaments, which I talked about in last week's videos. In this week's videos, we're going to be talking about the match-up shop on OverlayDFS.com. What is that? It is so simple. You pick between two players, plus or minus the spread. Who's going to score more fantasy points on Sunday Night Football? Was it Jarvis Landry minus 3.5 or Rashad Higgins plus 3.5? The answer was Jarvis Landry minus 3.5. Who scores more fantasy points? Baker Mayfield minus 2.5 or Nick Chubb plus 2.5? The answer was Baker Mayfield. It is so simple. Anyone can do it. You guys do so much research to win your matchups every single week. Why not get some nice cashola on the upside here? Win these games on OverlayDFS.com. It is so simple. I don't think the upside made sense there, but what does make sense is winning money. It's easy. OverlayDFS.com, link down below in the description. And we are back. Let's get into it. Week 16 defenses to add for fantasy football in 2020. We begin with the Cleveland Browns at the New York Football Jets. Now, the Cleveland Browns may not be as readily available in a lot of leagues due to their matchup last week up against the New York Football Giants, where they got 1 sack and allowed 6 total points. Now, I thought the defense was probably going to get a pick or two in this game, or maybe make Colt McCoy kind of mess up, but they really didn't. They kind of just cruised to a win in this game and didn't really have to do too much defensively, obviously holding the Giants offense to 6 points, but that's not very hard when Daniel Jones is not under center. This week, they face up against the other New York team, the New York Football Jets, who got their first win of the season in week number 15. Huge round of applause to the New York Football Jets, one of my least favorite teams in the NFL, and now they don't get to get Trevor Lawrence. Boo-hoo, you dumb bastards. How did they accidentally win that game up against the LA Rams? Absolutely hilarious to me. But you all know who they're not going to be able to lose to? The Cleveland Browns. They're not going to, who they're going to be able to beat. They're not going to be able to beat the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are a different team. The Rams, probably what happened is they got caught with the gotcha game where they're not paying attention at all to the Jets. They're thinking, we are going to take a Cleveland steamer right on the Jets' chest, and it is going to be so simple. That's what everyone thought. But in reality, the Jets were ready to go to fucking war, and they won this game to lose out on one of the best prospects since Andrew Luck. So congratulations to the Jets. But with that said, the Cleveland Browns definitely have the strongest Jets team that they've ever had to play against this season, or the strongest team that any team's had to play, obviously besides last week when they actually beat the Rams. The week before, they almost beat the Las Vegas Raiders, but I do end up liking the Cleveland Browns defense in this matchup just because I think the Browns defense is just far superior for the Rams. Not for the Rams, compared to the Rams, because the Rams weren't ready, right? But the Cleveland Browns just saw the Jets beat the shit out of the LA Rams, so they're thinking, oh my god, this might not be as easy as we thought, so now the Browns will actually be prepared. The Rams went to this game without proper protection. They didn't end up bringing a condom, and they left with fucking HIV. They should have went in there, they should have wrapped their willy. Don't be silly. The Cleveland Browns know, hey, I'm gonna get the HIV-vizzle if I go ahead in there and don't wear protection. So the Cleveland Browns are going to be ready. They're going to be fired up, and they're going to beat the ever-living shit out of the New York Football Jets, and the defense is going to look good this week as my number one defense to add. Next defense, here's the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Atlanta Falcons. Now, a lot of teams may have dropped the Kansas City Chiefs due to the fact that their matchup last week up against the New Orleans Saints was relatively tough. 1 sack, 1 INT, and 27 points allowed in that matchup in their W up against the Saints. Now, while Drew Brees looked ultimately not that great in that game coming off the injury, he still did play pretty decent up against the Kansas City Chiefs defense, because the Kansas City Chiefs defense isn't what wins the Chiefs the games. How the Chiefs win the game is by just hoping the defense doesn't let up 7 billion points, and the offense is going to go ahead and score 7 zillion points for the Chiefs. Now, up against the Atlanta Falcons, this is not the worst matchup for the Chiefs. The Atlanta Falcons offense, though, was humming very well up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week. Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, or the offense, was getting very much locked down early on in the game. The Atlanta Falcons took a big lead, but just like last time the Atlanta Falcons took a big lead up against Tampa Bay Tom Brady, they ended up losing the game. The Buccaneers defense had 3 sacks and 27 points allowed. Now, I think the Atlanta Falcons team is kind of either way on a weekly basis. Some weeks you get this team that is ready to go, ready to fucking roll like Stu Feiner, and they go out there and they throw out 4 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, and they put up these big numbers. Then there's other weeks where Matt Ryan doesn't look like he knows how to fucking tie his shoelaces and needs to use Velcro to lace up his fucking cleats. So which one is it going to be? I don't know, but what I do know is the Chiefs defense is good enough that this will be solid, even if Matt Ryan starts lighting it up like his name was Snoop Dogg in this matchup next game. Here we got the Carolina Panthers at the Washington football team. In this one, I like the Panthers defense a whole lot, but we're also going to be talking about the defense on the other side of the ball because I think this one's going to be a relatively low-scoring game. The Washington football team looks like a chicken with their head cut off without Mr. Alex Smith, but they still end up winning. Riverboat Ron is just built different. It'll be hilarious because if the Washington football team wins this game, I think the Giants lose or the Eagles lose, something like that, then the Washington football team and Riverboat Ron Rivera will clinch the NFC East in his first year as the head coach with no fucking quarterback. That just shows how good of a coach Ron Rivera is. And plot twist, he's going to do it up against his former team, the Carolina Panthers, this week. The Panthers defense, though, has been pretty decent thus far this season. We saw last week up against the Green Bay Packers, 5 sacks and 24 points allowed. The week before that was a complete and utter fucking disaster up against horsecock Drew Lock. But the Washington offense just really doesn't hum all that much to where they're going to stick a zillion points up on this Panthers defense. Seattle, week 15 at Washington, 4 sacks, 2 INTs, and 15 points allowed. I feel like Alex Smith is going to end up missing again, and Dwayne Haskins just does not look all that great. Is it because Washington is not the right place for him? Probably, to be honest with you, based on his college prowess. I thought he would be a pretty solid NFL quarterback, so I think maybe a change of scenery for him will help him, but it's not going to help him this week up against the Carolina Panthers because that defense is looking much better than it did just last week or the week before that. Next game, here's the Washington football team versus Carolina. Now, the Washington football team defense is very good. They held one of the better offenses in the NFL in the Seattle Seahawks to only scoring 20 points and getting 1 INT on Mr. Russell Wilson. Now, what's going to happen in this game, like I said before, I think there's going to be a real slow match. This one is going to be a whole lot of fucking foreplay, and there's going to be no climax at the end of the game. It's just going to be a slow and steady tease through the whole fucking game, and you're not even going to get slobbered all over. That's what's going to happen. It's just going to end up ending. The game is just going to end, and you're going to be unsatisfied with watching it, and these games where you're unsatisfied with watching it typically have 2 pretty solid defensive matchups here. So the Washington football team has looked very good on defense. I'd argue much better than the Carolina Panthers, but with Dwayne Haskins' inconsistencies, that's why I like the Panthers defense more. But the Washington football team defense is pretty solid as well. The Packers defense up against Carolina had 3 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, and 16 points allowed. So I think the Washington football team could really put Mr. Teddy Two Gloves, Teddy Bridgewater, in a box in this one and lock him up and throw away the key. So I think the football team defense is going to be great this week as well. Next defense here is the Houston Texans versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, we have yet to see the Steelers play up against Pittsburgh, which means to say the Steelers up against the Cincinnati Bengals in week number 15, obviously, because that happens tonight on Monday Night Football. But I do know one thing about what's probably going to happen in this game is that the Cincinnati Bengals defense is not going to look that great up against the Steelers. Texans defense last week up against the Indianapolis Colts had 1 sack and 27 points allowed. That's nothing to call mom about and be like, Mom, J.J. Watt did okay in this game. The Texans defense did it right. That's not going to happen in that game up against Indianapolis. The Colts offense is too legit to quit, but the Cincinnati Bengals offense is limp dick. They cannot get it up. They need some Viagra to get that offense running, and by Viagra, I mean Joseph fucking Burrow, who sadly tore his ACL early on in the season. They're going to be either playing Brandon Allen or Ryan Finley. Ryan Finley's getting the start this week in week 15. How does he end up playing? Probably not as good as Brandon Allen, in my opinion. Last time we saw the Cincinnati Bengals lace up the cleats was week 14 versus the Dallas Cowboys at Cincinnati. 2 sacks for the Cowboys defense, 3 fumbles, and 1 touchdown and 7 points allowed. They allowed 7 points to the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Cowboys are legitimately one of the worst fucking disgraces of defenses I have ever seen grace the NFL. A battle in this game will be easy for the Houston Texans to win as long as the defense wakes up, smells the fucking roses, and plays decent up against the Cincinnati Bengals, which I believe they will, but they're ranked further back because the Texans defense is not very good. Final defense to add if you are in a real pickle this week. If you're looking through the waiver wire and you've seen none of these defenses before, this is the defense to go after. Now, if this defense is available, you can ask down below in the comments. I have other ones as well, but I want to make the video 20 minutes long talking about 50 fucking defenses, when in reality, in a lot of leagues, you're in the final matchup, not too many people are going to be adding people, so it should be easier to find one of these defenses. The Los Angeles Chargers versus the Denver Broncos. The Chargers defense, week 15 at the Las Vegas Raiders, and Marcus Mariota, 1 sack, 2 INTs, and 27 points allowed, 1 INT. That is, the Chargers defense just is not good. They came into the season looking like they were going to be a fierce unit in the NFL, but in reality, the only thing related to a unit that is fierce is the unit that gets shoved in their fucking mouth by the offense every single week, because the Chargers defense is depleted and injured. With that said, though, up against the Denver Broncos, you got a 50-50 shot that it's going to be horsecock Drew Lock or micro penis Drew Lock. Lock is either going to be locked and loaded, firing away 7 zillion shots of M60 straight into your domicile, or he's going to be shooting a fucking Nerf gun at you or a water gun. It's going to be one or the other. Lock either looks great or looks terrible, and there's no in-between with Mr. Horsecock Drew Lock. Bills defense last week up against the Denver Broncos in that primetime Saturday game. 3 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, 1 tug, and 19 points allowed. So while the Bills defense is much better than the Chargers defense, I still think the Chargers might get a little loose in this one, get a couple sacks, maybe get a fumble, maybe even get an INT in this matchup, because Drew Lock is so unstable, unpredictable, all these things. This defense could completely shoot you right in the fucking dome, or they could shoot your opponent right in the dome because they play really good. So it's a nice coin flip to be playing if you are all out of luck this week on finding defenses. So thank you guys all so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the Christmas decor behind me. Merry fucking Christmas to everyone. I love you all. Happy holidays to everyone who does not celebrate Christmas. Thank you guys so much for watching this video where it's almost Christmas time. It's a fucking winter wonderland in New Jersey. It snowed like 2 feet the other day. And, yeah, it's just having a fun time. I hope everyone had a great time watching this video. Hopefully you did end up enjoying. If you did end up making your Week 16 championship, I am very proud of you. You did it. Congratulations. And you're going to go ahead and eat a W here like your name was Jameis Winston. I do love you guys all. Thank you so much for the support this season. Next year, we're going to be even better, locked and loaded in. We're going to be winning championships yet again next year. Hopefully you guys are doing well this year. I apologize if whatever I said made you lose your game. I love you regardless. I hope you love me as well. I try my hardest to make you guys all have a fun time every single day watching these videos. That's my biggest goal, is while I'm trying to make you win the championship, I'm also trying to make sure that you guys have fun, because I don't want you to be fucking bored watching this video where I'm just reading off stats, being sluggish and shit like that. Whereas I'd rather be jovial, having a fun time, and having us all eat some W's. Thank you guys all for watching. I do love you all as always. OverlayDFS.com. Link down below in the description. Have a great rest of your guys' day. I love you all. Good boy.